Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks once again for joining me. I am your host, Derek Lane. Another edition of the Fast Lane podcast for success. Hey, it's been a little bit kind of irregular with the podcast as of late. I apologize for that. We'll be getting back on track and doing some exciting episodes. Today, let's talk a little bit about motivation and drive. What is it that causes a person to succeed while another person does not? We all know that motivation is huge, but motivation it's a large spectrum. It's just kind of an over encompassing word, an idea. We get motivations from various outlets. So break it down just a little bit and talk about, as an individual, what is your motivation? What is your motivation to achieve something, to produce an outcome of favorability? Are you driven by money? Are you driven by purpose? If you keep chasing money, you're always going to be chasing money. Not that money's a bad thing. I've always advocated that money is a good thing. It allows us to be a little freer in our life. And for me, that's what my personal objective is freedom. Freedom to be the person that I care to be. I love to work with people. I love to provide insight and help people on their journeys. So for me, just basking in a hammock in the Caribbean, that's good for a few days, but I got to get back out there and know that I'm helping people. That's where it's at for me. So number one is find out what it means for you, where your journey should take you, and what ultimately you want from this journey called life. Motivation is the things in life that help you achieve that outcome. So where, again, does the motivation come from? Well, I think we have to first look at the lack of motivation, why motivation is eluding us, and that's faith. I think that people lack faith in their own abilities. People lack faith in how and why success should be bestowed upon them. That little subconscious bug in the back of your brain that says, yeah, that's not me. That's for other people, that's not for me. I'm just not that person. Well, bull crap, okay? You can be, have, and do anything you want if you put the work in. Put the work in and become the person you want to be, because it's easier for you to do things and have things once you've done them and had them. That's why they say that, once you're a millionaire, that, there's no going back. You know how to be. You see yourself as a millionaire. It's not some wishful thinking. It's an absolute positive, this is me. The fear of failure is huge. People don't even try because of the fear of failure. They don't want to be let down, so they don't even try. And then on the other end of the spectrum, and it may sound silly, there's also the fear of success. Some people believe that with success, it's going to come stress. It's going to come annoyances, your ability to, have to do more, be more than you're comfortable with. And that's just where you've got to get comfortable. You got to know who you are and understand that sometimes these things in life, we have to achieve them. We have to get them out of the way. We have to tackle them, so to speak. Fear, again, of what others may think and believe about you can be debilitating, but there's no need to. If you'll just adapt a mindset, screw the naysayers. I don't care what the naysayers say about me. I know that what I want is good for me, good for my family, community, and good for my surround me. As silly or crazy as it may seem, if I understand that the outcome is good for me and good for others, I'm not hurting, I'm helping, then you lose that fear. You lose that fear. You don't even think about what it is. There's also the habit of procrastination. Procrastination is a killer. because you allow yourself to get into a mode of non-accomplishment. You just kind of put things off. You put things off. That is a killer. So if that is you, I would do some things to rectify that. To kill that procrastination bug. One of the great books to overcome procrastination is Dr. Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because it breaks down core and essential elements of our mind thought process. So it's a good read. I encourage you. Overall laziness. Well, I think if you're just lazy, you're lazy, and you're probably not even to this podcast anyway, so I'm not going to harp too much on that. The feeling that there are more important things to do than the minute things that you need to do to take care of the overall business. If you continually say, well, I'm going to sit down and write this book, but I'm going to wash the car. Whatever it is, if you never get started and you never follow through, you never get started, you never follow through. So I would say, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, to undertake, force yourself 5 minutes to do it. Even if you produce nothing, force 5 minutes of time to think about what you wanted and how you wanted. What would it look like if I did do this? If you wanted to write a book, what would it look like in your endeavor? What would it look like if you were to sit down and to start this process? Would you set your computer up a certain way? Would you get notebooks out and pads of paper, pencils? Would you just spend some time, outlining? Whatever it is, whatever you would do, spend 5 minutes doing it. And then the next day spend 5 minutes or 10. Because you're not going to do it until it becomes a habit. So when you make a habit of this writing process or whatever endeavor you're trying to do, once you make this strategy a habit, then comes the success, then comes the elimination of, then comes the ability to achieve. And as you move down the line and you see all of the things that you've done because you've made yourself do these things, and you go, wow, I've actually achieved quite a bit, and I'm heading toward my goal quicker than I ever imagined, or quicker than I had in the past because of my procrastination. Being stressed is a killer. You've got to find some calmness in your life, some positive reinforcement in your life, some good. Calling on friends that share your goals and value, eliminate that stress. That's a good way to do that. You've got to have some stimulation. You got to have what I call incentives, some things to get you going, some rewards. Now, don't go out and reward yourself if you haven't done anything. Produce something so that reward is legitimate, okay? Go out and produce something, make something, become something, start the process. And once you do that, then you can think of the process of doing it, maybe just, who knows. But it's whatever works for you. But we've got to get through the things that stall us down, the things that put us in a rut and in a bind. We've got to get through those things because it's killer. You've got to stay focused every day, every single day. You have to have a focus on what you want to have and be and do. You have to have that focus. It's the only way that you're going to get on the right journey, okay? So with that, that's a basic start. Okay, sharing your ideas and sharing your journey and your goals, that's a double-edged sword sometimes, because if you share them with the wrong people could be jealous or envious, or just generally pessimistic and be just negative toward your journey, okay? Or they could even throw in the proverbial wrenches to some of your plans, maybe consciously or unconscious, just some of those negative energies that they hold. So the point is here, make sure that you share with like-minded, like vision, that want the same thing. In other words, if you have a friend that is producing a journey, of an accomplished nature, and they share it with you, make sure that help them, offer anything that will help them, because by doing so, you'll get that back. Because if you're like-minded, you're shooting for basically the same goal. It may not be the exact same goal, but you know what I'm saying is that the journey that takes you into life further than you have the criteria that you've set forth. So make sure that you're sharing that with like-minded people. Don't think that everyone is negative. but there's a lot of out there. So obviously, always be careful of that and find the right people that, again, will help you on your journey. Okay, well, listen, I hope this episode podcast helps just a little bit. It's always good. I know we've kind of talked about some of these things in the past, and we've touched on some of these, but it's always good to kind of to understand. It's like the saying is ready to appear. I think sometimes if we hear these over and over, and then you go, oh yeah, I get that. Wow, I get that. That's a good thing. So we're going to sign off on this episode. I appreciate the listenership. Thanks, guys, everywhere. And you can always reach Derek at the Fast Lane. Derek at fastlanepodcast.com. Whew, almost forgetting that. Derek at fastlanepodcast.com. Shoot me an email, and I definitely, you guys know that. Find me on all of the podcast outlets, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher. It's all out there. Spotify. Thanks, guys. You guys are big listeners of the show. I appreciate it. With that, have a wonderful, exciting rest of your day, rest of your week, and look forward to another episode here shortly. All right, thanks so much.